Hello, everyone. We have a lot to cover this evening, so I'm going to get started right away, and any latecomers can just join us as it flows. So I'm going to screen share. I ask that everyone has their microphone turned off if you don't already. Okay, here we go. So this is week 3 of professional development for Indigenous artists. And I'd like to start out by acknowledging that we at Pacific Association of First Nations Women respectfully acknowledge the unceded traditional ancestral territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations, and that I gratefully live on Coast Salish territory here in what is settlerly known as Vancouver as an uninvited guest. And I invite you to connect to and reflect upon your own connection and relationship to the land and our shared responsibility to protect and nurture it. And so taking a moment here to ground into the earth and perhaps release anything you might be carrying with you from earlier in the day. And so I invite you to plant both feet on the floor and maybe your palms facing down, resting on your thighs. Again, this is if it is comfortable, easy, and accessible to you. And so just finding a comfortable seat and a way for maybe some part of your body to be touching the floor, grounding into the earth. If you're comfortable, maybe closing your eyes for a moment and taking a deep breath in and exhaling and releasing anything that does not serve you in this moment. And maybe envisioning your feet as roots, connecting to the earth, connecting to the land. And you inhale, lengthen up towards Father Sky. And exhale, deepen down towards Mother Earth. Maybe just taking another couple of breaths at your own pace. Nourishing the cells of your body, releasing what no longer serves. And when you're ready, connecting into this space together. Okay. So as always, I'd like to mention consent and that it is ongoing and fluid. This session is being recorded, and this recording will be shared publicly on PAFNW's YouTube channel. And so just by participating and continuing, that you are consenting to be recorded and that you're welcome to have your camera off at any time. And a reminder that anything that I say and invite you to participate in throughout the duration of the course is in fact an invitation and a suggestion. And so if anything doesn't resonate with you, that you can simply say pass, and that I respect your boundaries, and that your boundaries are ongoing and fluid. And so if we start something, you decide it's not for you, that's okay. And also that this course content, while it is in a framework, that these are a starting point, and that something about art is that it is so subjective, and that we are shape-shifting and changing as artists. And so these practices, your biography, your statement, all of that is going to be changing as you and your practice grows. And also that just because I am providing a guideline, that you can interpret it creatively for the best way that works for you. So I thought that a lot of these things for a long time needed to be exactly the way that I was told. And it took me some time to be comfortable with making it my own, truly. So it definitely, with these assignments, if there's something there in the homework and you're like, I'm not ready for that, or I'm going to do it this way, then trust your gut, follow your intuition, and that, yeah, only you know what's going to serve you best. These are all just suggestions of what's worked for me and other artists, but you'll know what's best for you. And so this is what we are attempting to cover this week. I'm going to give a little reminder about the code of conduct in just a moment, reviewing the week 2 homework assignment. I'm going to give a Mighty Networks tutorial and a screen share and show you how that works. And then we're going to get into the artist bio and show you some artist bio examples. We'll have a 10-minute break, come back, do an artist bio journaling exercise. Then we'll get into the artist statement. I'll give some artist statement examples. I am not confident that there will be time for the video. Oh, but the video wants to start now. So, okay, maybe that will happen. Let me go back. Now I gotta find our presentation here. Where'd it go? Did I? Okay. So I'm not sure what happened there. Let me find it on my desktop. Why? Okay, I've got it here, but for some reason I couldn't share it. Sorry, everyone. So I was saying we're tight on time. Okay. So I'll get into the artist statement examples, and maybe a video if there's time, but I'll share that in the Mighty Network so you'll have access to the link. And then I will give the week 3 homework assignment. So just a little code of conduct reminder, particularly on the teaching of humility. And so in the code of conduct, it states to please listen quietly and attentively while instructors, knowledge carriers, staff, and peers are speaking, storytelling, and presenting, and to mute your microphone when not speaking. And so last week we had some people sharing stories and anecdotes, and I love that so much. And I get so excited just talking about art and different artists and hearing what's going on with you. However, reflecting on that, we didn't have enough time to cover all of the course material last week. And so it's my responsibility to set those boundaries and hold that space. And so I'm going to ask that if you wish to share, that first you reflect on what you're contributing first. If your share is relevant, on topic, and serving the greater good of the community here, or if it is rather perhaps serving your singular desire to be heard or validated in that moment. And so to maybe first check in with yourself if what you're sharing is something that is going to help the group, or if it's something to share with me in a different way outside of class time. And so if you could please practice conscious communication and witnessing in order to respect the learning space. There is a lot of course content, and I don't want to just be throwing it at you and having you feel overwhelmed. And so as much as I love to hear all the things all the time, that this is a good lesson for me also in order to hold that space for everyone else. And so ways to interact without interrupting in the space. Use the chat. And something that I was in a course once, and the instructor advised us, if someone's saying something, sharing something that you really vibe with, to just put stars in the chat. And it's like, yeah, I totally feel that. Or like, it's like, I hear you, I see you, I feel you. And so that's one way to participate non-verbally. You can also use the reaction buttons like thumbs up, hearts, or whatnot. And then if you do wish to speak, if you could please raise your hand first, and you can do that from the reaction button as well. And if you don't know how to do that, I can't find mine right now. Maybe it's because I'm screen sharing. Does anyone know where that is? Oh, in the chat, I think.
I think it's in reactions on the bottom right.
Yeah, I don't have that right now. Okay. Oh, okay. So mine, I have 3 dots that say more, and then a list of headings comes down, and then I click on reactions and I find mine. So it depends on how your Zoom is set up. But if you hunt around there, you got clapping, thumbs up, heart, laughy face, a surprise face, et cetera, et cetera. And you can click the raise hand button in there. So that would be very helpful if you could raise your hand and before speaking, and particularly to ask questions. If it's to storytell or to share something personal, then again, we've got the Mighty Network space for that now. And so you can continue the conversation in our online network, which I'm going to show you shortly. And then additionally, you can always email or call me. It's not written here, I can stick around after the class, after everyone signs out, if you've got something that you want to address right away. And I'm happy to do that. So that covered, and sorry. I'm seeing in the chat here, Elaine sent me something about recording. The session is recording. I started the recording. Yes, it's still going. Okay. I thought when I lost the presentation that it might have stopped for some reason. Okay. So your week 2 assignment review. Assignment was to compile your strongest works in some form of a portfolio, to document your work. And again, I'm not anticipating that you have completed a full portfolio. It's just to get started on this. And so then to compile your strongest works, document them, to add labels, and then upload them somewhere, hopefully. And so whether you have your own website or you wanted to make an Instagram account exclusively devoted to your artwork, or you're just going to pop those images in a Google Drive or a Dropbox folder so that they're ready when you want to apply for an exhibition or whatnot. And if you are not interested in sharing in the Mighty Network for any reason, then you can email me your assignment. I prefer that it be on the Mighty Network, also that your work is a gift and that you get to share that with everyone else, and we get to all see each other's creative practices. And so, yeah, I'd love for it to be on there. But again, if that's not the right fit for you, then yeah, we can connect and you can share that with me another way. And also, if you have established that you're not ready yet, maybe you're just starting to create a body of work, and maybe you've been creative your whole life, but you don't have a whole bunch of polished, finished pieces, or you've got them in various stages, then that's okay. That I took a business for artists course years back, and I also took a grant writing course. It was just like a 2-day thing through Emily Card Continuing Studies, and I didn't write a grant application until 5 years or something after I took that course. And so right here, we can be planting seeds that we're not in the season for them to sprout yet. So these assignments, if you're not at a stage to be doing this work and handing it in right away, it's okay. That I understand that we're all on different parts of the path of our artistic journey. And that there will be a certificate of completion for participating in this course that will be emailed out to you. I think if you miss 3 classes or more, then we'll just have to chat. But anyways, that there shouldn't be any reason why you wouldn't receive that other than just not attending. So if you don't complete the homework assignments, it's not going to affect that as long as you are participating and absorbing the information. So on to, does anyone have any questions about that, first of all? Okay, so on to the Mighty Networks tutorial. Dun, dun, dun. And so thank you all for your patience, me getting this up and running. It has been quite a learning curve, and I was so excited to see folks start to share their artwork in there. I maybe had some tears this afternoon because it lights me up. So okay. Going to stop sharing that and start sharing that. No, that. Okay. So okay. I sent everyone an email invite to join the network. And so you should have just been able to click on that and do your thing and get in. Some folks, a couple of you, have emailed me saying that you needed to request an invite. I'm not sure why that happened, but I was able to accept you through that request. So yeah, there's, I guess, different ways to get in here. If you have trouble getting in, just contact me. So I am in here. I had to make a second account in order to view it as you see it instead of as the administrator. So I have 2 profiles. I have one with my photo, which is me as an instructor. And then I have one with the PAFNW logo, which I called admin, but that's me kind of interacting as a student. So this is the student side of things. So this should be as you see it when you come in here. And so this is home. So the network is for PAFNW's arts program. And then there are different groups, cohorts that I can create for each course. So you all have been invited to the PDIA cohort, Professional Development for Indigenous Artists. And it will also show up as Pro Development for Indigenous Artists because there was a character limit. And so I had to shorten it. So you are in the cohort for PDIA, and you are also part of the larger network for the arts program. And so right now, I am in the larger network side of things. And there isn't much action going on in here because I haven't added anyone from our previous courses yet. And so I will do that. And so there will be other folks interacting in the whole arts program network. And then to interact just within our course, you can see on this left-hand navigation, you go to courses and click on that. And because only you all are invited to be part of this course presently, it's listed as private. So you have access to it because you've been invited, but it's not public. So no one else can see what you're sharing and commenting on in here. But you can comment outside of this group, if that makes sense. So view course, and we're in here. And so, oh, I've completed every lesson. So we're in Pro Development for Indigenous Artists. And right when you come in here, you can see that we're under the course material tab. And so this shows there's an overview of the course. And this is not particularly what you'll get from the course, but what you'll get from being part of the course network. And so you can go through that. And then there's the week 1 materials. So week 1, welcome circle, and then it's got what we plan to do in that week. And then I've got the presentation slides in there. So you can download a PDF of the presentation that I share each week directly from the network. And I was making some last minute changes this week, so I didn't get it up in here prior to class starting, but moving forward, I will plan to have that in there. Hopefully like the day before class. So if you do wish to print it, to take notes, you can. So that is in there for week 1. And then there are the lessons. And so I've completed the lesson. Will it let me access it? Okay, great. So then the homework assignment is in here too. So this is where you can access your assignment and know what you need to do instead of me emailing it out at the end of class. And so the week 1 assignment was to create a list of 3 to 5 artists who you admire and to share links. Well, you know the assignment. So then there is a button. I've already clicked it, and it says that you've completed the lesson. So you click that button, and then it shows as complete. And then it automatically prompts you on to the next course materials. So then there's week 2. And so I will have gone over this all during class. So you may not want to even look at that, but it's there for you again with the presentation slides and then on to the lesson. So I have included information on the artist portfolio directly in here, even though we went over it in class. So you can reflect back on it on here. You can look at it in the presentation slides. There might be a little bit of variation. It shouldn't be too much. So all that's there. And then go on to the example. So I emailed this to everyone because we didn't get to go over it in class, but I've put it in here so that it lives with the course content. So there's links in there now to the portfolio examples and why I chose those examples. So you can access that there. And I used my own portfolio on my website as an example of one that could use improvement because it's under construction. I will be updating that to improve it. So this example may not stay relevant for very long, but for the time being, it's a good example of kind of some wonky format. But if you go in there and it doesn't match, that's why. Maybe I'll take a screenshot of it and put the screenshot of the way it is right now in there. Okay, great. So, and then I've got some Instagram examples in there as well. So we didn't have time to watch movie last week. So again, that YouTube video is in there. And then I added some notes on why I chose it. So you can access these additional resources on your own time. And then there's the homework assignment. So going over that. So to build your portfolio, I already talked about this, but I've got the how to label the works. This is kind of a standard order. If you stray from that, it's okay. Like if you've got your dimensions before your medium, it's not the end of the world. But when you do apply for exhibitions or grants, if they give you a specific order, follow the order. I have made mistakes in the past and still been accepted However, it makes it so much easier. They are receiving so many applications. And so to be sifting through all of that information, you're really helping people out. And there are some times where you will be disqualified if you have strayed from the guidelines. In the sake of your homework assignment, it's okay. So all of that is there, and I'm going to show you how to submit it now. So shortly, like sometime tomorrow, the week 3, all of that information will be available. And before class next week, the week 4 information will be in there. So there are on here, there's topics. And so that's where you're going to find your homework assignment. I could create any topic, like, I don't know, what's your favorite color of paint to use? And that could be something that you submit. So I've only created topics for homework assignments, just for sake of ease. And so you go into week 1, and I have submitted a homework assignment so that you can see it as an example when you go in there. So the very first one that you see, and it doesn't give any formatting when it shows as a post, but if you go to continue, it pops up on the side, and then there's some nice formatting here. So I wrote 3 artists, I submitted 4, I've got their name, I've got a link to the website and why I specifically am drawn to and connect to that artist in their career. And so I've got 4 in here. Mighty Networks, if you are sharing a link, it will allow like that link to come up in a box with an image, but only for one thing that you share. So I just deleted it, but you can play around with the formatting as long as the info is there, that's okay. And then you can comment on what other people post, just like a social media platform, because that's what it is. So then I see here that, dun, 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 okay. Are these, hang on, are those comments or are those additional posts? I'm gonna have to verify that because it looks like that's Trev's submission. And then there's kind of part of Harmony's submission. So I'll have to clarify that. If we go back, I think this is just now a thread, I guess. So we just continue, okay, share your, no, because, okay, I'm not sure what's going on here yet. Week 1 homework assignment. Trev's is showing up here, and I can view it separately. Okay. And then up here, is that the same thing? No, it's different. Okay, so this is a comment on my post, and then this is a separate post. Okay, well, I'm still gonna see it all. So if we mix that up, it's okay. But I would suggest, if you can figure it out, to share it as a separate post. So you can go here, share what's on your mind, press the plus button, you can share a photo. So sharing photos of your work, you could share a video if you wanted, links, and file attachments. And so you click in there, and then you can write the answer to the assignment and share a photo if that's applicable, or any other file extensions or attachments. So that's how to do that. So I go back to topics, week 2 homework assignment, and Trev has submitted some photos. And so I'm not seeing any labels with those photos yet. So maybe that's something that could be added in a comment after the fact. Still learning this exactly. Okay, there we got some info down there. So yeah, we're all still learning it. Here's my post as an example. Yours does not have to be exactly the same. We can see I've got a photo of my work, and then the artist's name, the title of the work, the year it was created, the medium it's created in, and the dimensions of the artwork. So then I also included that link to my wonky portfolio on my website, which needs to be updated. And so if I were submitting this assignment, I would keep adding images, probably because I think you can only add one image per post. So then you would create another post with another image and your label as well. And so that's how to do that. So then each week you can just go in. I've already got the week 3 homework assignment posted here. And so it's there and you'll go in and do the same thing. Does that make sense to everyone? Does anyone have any questions about how to do that? All good? Okay, so that's the basics, but then you can also, outside of those topics, share whatever you want in the activity feed. And so those topics, they funnel into the activity feed. So all the homework assignments now, all the comments of all those things, under the activity feed, they're all in one place. So then you can see here that Brandon has shared the exercise that we did of drawing without looking, which is super cool. I love that Brandon included the description looking at macrame, 3 plant hangers and 2 vines, and other is a cactus. I love that that was shared. So if you want to share extra stuff in here that we can all celebrate, this is part of that community. And so that is in the main activity feed. And then members.
Jess?
Yes.
There's a question from Jenna.
Oh, thank you.
How long do we have the course PDFs for?
The course PDFs?
Yeah.
I've created PDFs of the slides. So is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, it says, how long do we have the course PDFs for? And then the second part, for as long as we have classes or whenever, question mark.
Okay, so this Mighty Network is active until December. We received a grant to fund this course. And so because we've never used Mighty Network before, this is a test to see if it serves PAFNW's needs for courses. And so we've been funded to pay for the Mighty Network account until the end of December. If we establish that, yes, this is great, we're going to keep it going, then we will continue to host the network, and then it will stay up. So at least until the end of December, everything will be here. I hope to keep it going because it's meant to be a hub of all the incredible Indigenous artists that we're working with. And I don't like that working with, that we're connecting with, that we're building community with. And so I can't say that it will be longer than December, but I am confident that it hopefully will stick around. So if there's anything that you wish to have access to, then you can download the presentation slides off of here and have those for your reference. And that should have the bulk of the information. And then also these online sessions, again, are being recorded. You'll have access to that as well on PAFNW's YouTube channel. So I'll try to upload them in here, but because they'll be 2 hours long each, it might be a bit for me to upload it to both YouTube and in the Mighty Network. Ideally, it'll be both, but if not, it will definitely be in YouTube, and that will stick around there also. Does that answer your question? Okay, I hope it's ongoing. Yes, me too. Okay, so members in here, and thanks Elaine for that. You can see everyone who has joined so far. This is amazing. And so then you can add your photo if you wish, and then you can write a little bio. And so today we're going to be writing artist bios, and they might be a little bit longer than what you're able to fit in here, but it's a way to get you started with how you want to present yourself. And so creating your little profile in here can be a mini practice of that larger assignment. Going to about, again, that's just about the course info. And then topics is the homework assignments, we already went over that, and events. So I can create a Zoom meeting directly from the Mighty Network, and I do want to test that. And so I've already created a draft, but anyways, I'm going to create the event for the online class next week and send you the invite through Mighty Network. So I believe you'll get an email inviting you to class, but we might have to see if that works, because right now Elaine is a co-host. I'm not sure how any of that works through the Mighty Network. I'm not sure how recording works through the Mighty Network. So I'm going to be testing that in the next week and let you know. But if we could have the online classes launched directly through Zoom, we've linked our Zoom account in here. We'll see how that goes. And then there is a chat function. And so instead of communicating in the activity feed, you can pop in here and chat. And I haven't tested that out yet. So let's see how that goes. Okay, so I guess this is just anyone who is, you can see who's online right now. And then anyone who's online, we can have like a live chat function in here. Cool. I think you can direct message people too as well. So we're going to learn as we go, but that's the basics. That's how to submit your homework. And okay. Does anyone have any further questions about the Mighty Network? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that. And go back to the slides. If I can find them, because they are now in their own window. Okay. Okay, tutorial done. How are we doing for time here? 20 minutes to break. Okay. Oh, I think we're doing good. Okay, so this week we're going to be focusing on forming a narrative. And so every item, every piece of artwork you create is a story, and you are a story. You aren't just a story, but you're definitely a story. And so how do you deliver the narrative of those stories? And so we can do that through a biography, an artist statement, website, blog, and social media, and of course, in person, which is the obvious, but I guess these days it's a little bit different. So anyways, the artist biography is typically a short paragraph about you and your career. That doesn't say it has to be just one paragraph, but that's our goal here. And typically one paragraph is pretty standard. So it may also contain a line about the key themes in your art practice. And so if you're starting out and you are exploring, you may not have established key themes in your artwork. If you are reclaiming, revitalizing a traditional ancestral practice, then your practice may be very specific. You might know exactly what your key themes and directions are. So it depends on how you work and what you're creating. But as an artist, like when I first started out, my artwork was all over the place. I was trying all different things. And so I actually called one exhibition Incongruence, because I felt that it was not congruous. It didn't go together. So my key theme was that there was no key theme. And the theme was that I was exploring new materials. And so that was just my truth at that time. So if you don't have a key theme, just be honest about your practice. And so, but your bio isn't necessarily about your practice, but it can contain a line about a key theme if you've established that. The more details about your practice are going to go in your artist statement. So biographies are often confused with other tools for self-promotion, like an artist CV and an artist statement. And so though they might be presenting similar information, a biography is different because it is only a paragraph written in prose. So a CV is the list of all your achievements and credentials, where the bio is, it's a written straight up paragraph. And an artist statement, again, talks about the work, the thinking behind it. Biography talks about the person themselves, talks about you. So the key info to include in your bio, your name. For Indigenous folks, let's say your ancestry, the medium you work in, a line about the key themes and concerns of your practice, just mention that. Your showing history, if you have shown publicly, it's okay if you haven't. Your art, and also that that doesn't have to be in your bio if you have shown. Include your art-related education or hereditary teachings. Again, this education doesn't need to be institutional education. If you have that, great, include it if you wish to. Other interesting information relevant to your practice or career as an artist. Now, this is down here on the list, but I feel that this is one of the most important things, is that interesting information about your artwork and your journey as an artist. So if you've collaborated with other artists or you're part of an arts collective, just other parts of your journey that are related to your artwork creation. And then I'd say almost every bio I've read includes where you live and create. So this link is here where I pulled this information, and I've changed it, but I'm just acknowledging that I found some information on this website down here. So using myself as the first example. So this here is one paragraph. On the next slide, I've got two more paragraphs. So this could be one little bio, but I've extended it. So Jessica has deep passion for holistic, trauma-informed, decolonial wellness practices. She is a visual artist and storyteller, arts administrator, teacher, and creative wellness coach. Following her return from 3 years living nomadically in Europe and North Africa, Jessica is grateful to be back in her hometown as an uninvited guest upon the unceded Coast Salish territory, which is settlerly known as Vancouver. So this could be one little bio on its own, but if it were, I would want to add a few more pieces of information and maybe tweak it a little bit. It's got my name. It doesn't include my ancestry, that comes later. So if this was a standalone bio, I would want to include, I'd plug a little bit of my ancestry in there. And it doesn't state the medium I work in. So again, I'm gonna get to the rest of it down here. And a line about key themes, concerns of my practice, yes. Deep passion for holistic trauma-informed decolonial wellness practices. That's not only in my artwork though. So there, I might want to speak a little bit more specifically about my artwork, but right now I'm focusing more on teaching. So that's more relevant in this moment. My showing history, that comes later. So the key things I would say: name, ancestry, medium you work in, and then definitely some themes and your like interesting information where you live and create. Your education, again, they can look at your CV for that. And so that doesn't need to be in your bio if you're trying to keep it short. And also you're showing history. So those things are part of your CV. We're going to talk about that later in the course. So you can leave those out of your bio if, again, there's a character limit and you're trying to keep it short and sweet. So here's the rest of it. As a white passing queer Indigenous person of mixed Inuit, Irish, Welsh, Métis, and English heritage, Jessica is actively reclaiming her culture and exploring her identity. This is done by learning from and supporting elders, artists, knowledge carriers, and community members, as well as through her own art practice. Inspired by all forms of creative expression and self-development, she's eager to be of service to others on their unique personal journeys. Jessica is the founder of 333 Alchemy, an organization guiding creative wellness workshops, coaching sessions, and retreats. She's the co-founder of Raising Aunties, an all-Indigenous women's arts collective, and she is a member of the board of directors for Renegade Art Society. Her visual artwork is exhibited and collected internationally, and she is nurturing a new love of producing and directing short documentary films. So this is more of an extensive bio. It touches on almost all of the key points. It still doesn't really say the medium that I work in. I'm working in a lot of different mediums, so I still need to edit this, but I'd say that's a pretty solid bio. I'm going to give you an example now of a much more concise bio. So Chief Janice George is going to be popping out throughout this course. We were so grateful and honored to have her welcome us in week 1. And so I am including her as a model as we move through this journey. You see that this pink slide is reflecting on my face, and my face got really pink here. So I'm just distracted by that. Okay, biography. And I apologize, I am not sure how to pronounce her ancestral name here. And so, oops. Chief Janice George is an accomplished weaver and teacher from the Squamish Nation. Janice is a hereditary chief, trained museum curator and educator. She is from a prominent Squamish family and has numerous ceremonial and cultural responsibilities in her community. And so there are many different... Hello?
It's Chaphemia. That's how you say it.
Matna. Chaphemia. Can you say it again, Jacqueline, please? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry.
Okay.
Chaphemia.
Chaphemia.
Yeah.
Ah, Matna. So grateful for that.
There's a guttural sound in the, but I can go over that with you after.
Thank you. No, she pronounces my ancestral name better than I can. So thank you. So there are many bios for Chief Janice George on the web. And so I used one and pared it down to show you a very short bio. But these are other examples so that you can see it expanded. And so I'll share that in the Mighty Network. And so another artist who is going to be threaded throughout the journey of this course for various examples and who I used as a portfolio example is Brian Youngin. And so here's his bio. Brian Youngin was born in Fort St. John, British Columbia, Canada in 1970. He draws from his family's ranching and hunting background, as well as his Daneza heritage when disassembling and recombining consumer goods into whimsical sculptures. Youngin transforms plastic chairs into whale skeletons, garbage bins into a giant turtle carapace, sewing tables into a basketball court, golf bags into towering totem poles, and collectible Nike Air Jordan shoes into objects resembling both the ceremonial masks of British Columbian coastal tribes and abstract modernist sculptures. So I found this bio on this website, and this is the first part. But then you click a button and it expands into the rest of it. And so I'm going to show you that. And this is an example of a bio that starts to kind of include an artist statement. And so because on Art21, I love Art21, by the way, everybody, they show videos of different artists who are practicing now, and it's really inspiring. I'm going to share a video that includes Brian Youngin's work in the Mighty Network. But if you want to explore that page, there'd be lots of different examples of bios and statements. And so showing you that though, 1 second. If I can find where it went. Okay. Maybe I will show you that in a minute. Okay. So yeah, that'll work. We're gonna do our break a little bit early. Oh my gosh, we are ahead of time. This is magical. So we're going to do our break for 10 minutes, and then we're going to do a bio journaling exercise, and then I will show you the expanded part of Brian Youngin's bio, because it fits in with his artist statement. And so as we talk about the artist statements, we'll get into that. Does anyone have any questions or comments about what I have covered up until this point?
No, you've been pretty clear about everything. Thank you.
So I was just checking the chat. Thank you, Cole. Okay, great. So Harmony has her hand raised.
I just wanted to say we mentioned it in the chat, but the app has a little bit of a different layout. So it takes a little more fiddling with, but just in case you're not on the computer all the time.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. That Mighty Networks you can access from an app on your phone. And I did recognize that also, that yeah, the navigation on the phone, like it's super convenient having it there, but to find everything, I guess it's the same as Zoom, right? It's different on your computer, it's different on your phone. So unfortunately, I can't give you a tour of the phone situation. So that is uncharted territory that you can explore. But if you do have any troubles with it, then connect with me and I'll try to help you out with that. Also, they're super helpful. If you write in the help section, they got back to me right away. I think that you should probably have access to that, but if not, I can send them a message. They got back to me in under 24 hours. Okay, so let's say 10-minute break, back at 7:05, everyone. Okay, see you soon.
See you soon, thanks.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. I hope you all had a moment, or 10 minutes, 10 moments to do what you needed to do. Okay, going to continue screen sharing. So I invite you all to have pen, pencil, and paper ready. And just going to do some free writing. So we're going to do 8 minutes of nonstop writing on your bio. And I'll pull up that list of things that are suggestions of what to include in your bio. And this is just to write without thinking, whatever comes to you in this moment. And if you are like, I can't think of anything, write that and just be like, I'm stuck. Because inspiration finds you working. And so if you feel like, oh, I'm not feeling creative, or I don't know what to say, if you get started, and this is with your creative practice as well, inspiration finds you working. So you're like, oh, I don't have any ideas. Pick up your tool and start to create, and something will flow. So if you are a writer, then this may be a walk in the park. Maybe you already have a bio, but to just take a moment to write 8 minutes to free write your bio. So let me find that slide for you. Okay, so these are some key points to include in your bio. And I'll give you maybe a 2-minute warning to wrap things up. Does anyone have any questions or comments about that? I think it's pretty straightforward. Okay, 8 minutes of free writing.
Of self-esteem around it. And so it's hard for me to even say I'm an artist. I've been doing this since I was little, but for some reason the writing this bio has been really hard. I think I got 3 sentences. I don't know about anyone else, but that's me.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that's really relatable. And the reason why I wanted to do this exercise now is that if I just assign it as homework, and it's like, okay, you're alone, you're doing it, and where I go, whereas at least we can start this process together and understanding that it can be very difficult to write openly about yourself, and that who knows you better than you. But the whole theme of tonight's course is like, it's self-expression. Like, you need self-awareness in order to write about yourself. And so we often focus as an artist being in our creative flow, but being able to reflect on that can be really healing. And so the free writing is an opportunity, right? Like, you only got 3 sentences, but you got something down. And so to just keep writing and write a mess, right? Like, even if it's not true, because our ego and our thoughts, they like to tell us a whole bunch of like, oh my gosh, I wrote my bio in the example, but I still free wrote. And it is a whole bunch of mess, because I was actually feeling really nervous earlier in the first half of the course. And as I started to write, I was trying to write like another version of my bio. What came out is, where's this stress coming from? What is this anxiety? And I needed to self-reflect and have the self-awareness to get my blockages out first before I could have the clarity to write something of, I don't want to say of substance, but something that is useful in for these purposes. So often we have to make some junk before we make a masterpiece. Not everything that comes out of us can be perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. There's perfectly imperfect. So if we free write first, then we can write out all the things, all the blockages, and then I find that it will start to flow. So don't worry about it being messy. That this process is one of the things, the bio and the artist statement is one of the hardest things for artists. And it's kind of ironic that when artists make it big, people write the bio for them because people are all like up in their business. And like, so, you know, that they don't even have the opportunity to frame that narrative. So you can look at this now as like kind of a silver lining that you get to form the narrative and you get to do this self-awareness work. And so it's not easy, but it's very rewarding. And starting to get into the self-reflection is that this is so important in success as an artist, is believing in yourself, being able to, what's the word that I want? Oh my goodness. It's the opposite of what I want to say. Being able to advocate for yourself and be confident speaking. Of course, when I'm saying be confident speaking, I forget my words. So, but even just being able to own your truth means you need to know your truth. And so journaling is a practice that I suggest to everyone. And in the other courses, I brought it up. And I hadn't included it in this course, but I think it's important maybe to suggest now that there's a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And a lot of it may or may not speak to you. It's been very helpful on my journey. One of the first things she recommends is to write what she calls the morning pages. And the morning pages, every morning when you get up, you write 3 pages of stream of consciousness writing. And it helps you get out the traffic. And so that you, like just what I did right now, I wrote, like I didn't realize how anxious I was feeling until I wrote it down. And when you acknowledge it, then you're no longer in resistance to it. So it can start to dissolve. So if I'm feeling insecure about writing my bio, I'm having resistance to it, then then I just write what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, and let that mess come out, for lack of a better word. Maybe it's something poetic. Your blockages might not be the same as mine, but whatever it is, you get it out so that there's no more resistance. What you resist persists. As soon as you are open and honest and be like, oh my gosh, I'm scared, or oh, I'm frustrated, or I'm stuck, or I don't know, I feel like I'm not good enough, or whatever that thing that is not true, when you speak it, when you write it, then it can start to dissolve or make the unconscious conscious. So the morning pages is doing that every morning, suggested 3 pages, so that the rest of your thoughts and the rest of your actions throughout the day are more clear and more creative. And so it's something that over maybe the last 5-6 years, I used to do it like a practice, like it was every day, and nothing could keep me from doing it. But it's something that I've come back to. And so I need to do more of that. It's a reminder for me too. And so I'm seeing some beautiful connection in the chat and some writing going on there. And so I just wanted to touch on that also, about feelings of not belonging, of not knowing where you fit, can also be a potential obstacle to being able to articulate who you are through your bio. And so even just working that out, speaking the truth of how you're feeling, that can be part of it. And as artists, it's often showing a different way. And so showing vulnerability and showing that truth and honesty and integrity can be a big gift, can be medicine to others. And something in a chat that an elder posted, some Indigenous Facebook group, that really resonated with me was in regard to the comments in the chat, is that it doesn't matter how much milk you put in tea, it's still tea. And so that's like, I have a lot of white presenting privilege, and that's not what we're here to talk about right now. But that one thing is, when your community claims you, is a teaching about belonging. And so there are a lot of discrepancies, this conflict, I don't know the right word for that, but about Indigenous, or non-Indigenous folks claiming indigeneity. And so being part of community, being claimed by your community is one way to ascertain that. So that here you are claimed by this artist community of all Indigenous folks. I can't speak for everyone else, but I definitely speak for myself. Okay, so went on a little tangent there, but felt that that might be necessary. And Sia, you've got your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just noticing when I was writing, like in my writing, it's like me, I did this and I did this. It's hard to like talk to myself in third person, like, oh, that's Sia, she's a good poem writer. like kind of getting out of my. But it's easy to write about yourself, but how are you going to present who you are to other people? Like, who's your audience, right?
Yeah.
And so right now I'm working on, I want to write a poem book right now. So my portfolio will be a collection of my writing, and I'm going to try to share something in the bottom or on the Mighty Network. But thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, for bringing that up, Sia. When I started to write, the first thing I wrote is, I am a visual storyteller. And so you can write your bio all in first person and then just go back and switch it. And so, yeah, you're right. Like Sia or like Jessica is da 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 da. There are some different teachings around it where you can just have your bio in first person and it's more personable. It's not like there is that kind of third wall of maybe a lack of authenticity, right? Just because it's the proper way to have it in third person doesn't mean you have to do that. If your statement is more about being authentically connective, put it in first person. My bio artist statement, I think my bio in the past, one of them, maybe both of them, was in first person for quite a while. So I've flipped back to the third person, but you do you. Okay. So that being said, I'm going to go back to our slides here, and I'm going to show you Brian Youngin's bio / statement on Art 21 that he probably didn't write. And so also I want to acknowledge that I am showing you, other than myself, like very established artists, Chief Janice George, Brian Youngin. These are like professional artists. professional, yeah. And so that yours are maybe going to be a bit pared down. They're not going to have, some of you might have check all the boxes, but it's okay if you don't have all of that there. That it being authentic and it being a true reflection of you is more important. And you being confident in it is more important than trying to stretch it to be something that you're not, to make it look like somebody else's bio or statement. So these are just templates that really trust yourself and be honest with it. And that's the best kind of artist you can be, is that you are confident in, I am so grateful that I created this, and this is why I created it. And that's really what it's about. So it doesn't need to be fancy, doesn't need to be long, doesn't need to have a whole bunch of credentials to prove yourself. It just needs to be honest, and you need to feel good about it. And that will be reflected back to you. If you feel like, oh, I don't know, or I don't know what word I want here, but like if you feel like you're uncomfortable with it, then that's going to be your experience with it. Cindy.
I just wanted to share something quickly about writing bios. I worked with a theater company, and I think there were, I don't remember exactly how many people, but maybe 12 of us that had to get bios done, you know, and it was so hard for everybody. And so we did start helping each other. And it comes super fast and easy if you work with someone on it, because you are able to kind of remind each other. It's almost like you can detach a bit by just explaining details, and then you can start to tweak it from there. And you can, you know, realize like, oh yeah, I just said something really great, I'm going to put that in there too. And then it becomes, it's kind of like when a burden is shared, it becomes a little bit lighter. So yeah, we were helping with the outreach, and we had to get everything done. We had to be able to communicate everything. So we needed those bios. We couldn't, you know, let people procrastinate. And it was just so much easier once we helped each other with it.
Thank you, Cindy. And that's part of the homework that we're gonna get to later. But yes, thank you for sharing that it doesn't have to be hard. And especially like we often think that we're alone, and that connection can be so helpful. Thank you, thank you. So let's screen share again.
May I just super quickly ask a question? I'm so sorry. Yeah. A lot of my work comes from trauma, actually, and depression and mental health. Now, can we even put that in our bio, or is that just too negative?
I wouldn't be afraid of being too much of anything if it's your truth. And that if that's what your work is about, then that is important.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I would say that, I mean, a lot of my work is very trauma informed. And even when I was creating my website, it's like I give coaching. And so it's a friend of mine who works in marketing said like, oh, that sounds really negative. And I'm like, well, it's the truth, and people are working through that. And so it's important to say that that's the work that I do. So anyone who pushes back against that, it could be because it's triggering to them. So don't be afraid of being in your true expression, that if that's your truth, then it's more important to be in integrity, so that you're going to attract what resonates with your true expression, as opposed to packaging things up with a nice little bow and it not being truly authentic, so that you can't attract those authentic connections. The right thing for you is only going to find you if you're showing who you are.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. So the artist's statement should be clear, concise, and compelling. An artist statement is a short piece of writing about your work and practice and any wider intellectual concerns. So I got this off the internet, but that your wider intellectual concerns would be perhaps that your work is about trauma and your own experience. And so that if there are other threads that connect to your work, this is where you explain that in your statement as opposed to your bio. It's kind of the bio of your artwork. And so the artist statement can act as an introduction to your practice as a whole, and it can highlight certain things, motivations, and the processes that run throughout your whole practice. And so a longer statement might go into more detail about specific pieces of art. And so again, it depends on what the statement is for. Just like your portfolio, that it depends on what you're using it for, what your end goal is, how you shape it. And so in the artist statement, why do I need this? The statement should give the reader a better understanding of where your practice and interests come from, the influences on your work, and interpreting what you do. And so then, again, know your audience and who is the reader, and you're trying to give them a better understanding of those things. Your statement, depending on what you're applying for, it shouldn't change too much because the truth about your artwork is the truth about your artwork. So you want it to be honest, right from your heart. Share your truth. You want it to be easy to understand. Don't overcomplicate things. If you can't explain it clearly, it's best to just leave it out. So if you're struggling with something, you don't have to have every single detail. It's best for it to be a little bit easy for you to explain. If you're having trouble explaining your work, you might have to connect to your emotions around it. Am I feeling blocked? Or am I just having trouble articulating this? Is this a relevant detail? Or am I just trying to fill up this space with words? So simple is better than long and complicated. Is it intriguing? Make it interesting. Your work is interesting. Art is interesting. So if you're writing about it, would you want to read this? And try to make it brief. And say it's short and sweet, but can also be short and spicy. So again, it doesn't have to be ribbons and bows. It can be dark. And that was something that I was really afraid of in the beginning. My artwork, you can see behind me, this is one of, not right behind me, but that really colorful piece there. That's one of my very, very early works. Super colorful. There's like 4 of them. Never sold because it's so bright. And so my earlier work was a lot of bright color. I didn't even realize, it never occurred to me. I was self-taught in the beginning for quite a long time. It never occurred to me to mix colors of paint. I was just using all the paint straight out of the tube. So everything is very like primary colors, very saturated. And so one night, there was some trauma that happened in my family and I couldn't sleep. And at that time, my art studio was in my living room and I got up in the middle of the night, couldn't sleep. I didn't even turn on a light and had these 2 canvases there and just got out this black and red paint. And I started painting with my hands. And so my nails are scratched into this artwork. It's black and red, it's dark. And that painting I didn't show to anyone for a very long time because I felt it was so dark. And it ended up, whenever anyone saw it, they're like, whoa, that piece is very different from the rest. It's very powerful. And I never really showed it for a long time. And then I was leaving Turtle Island, I was getting rid of all my things. And so I was like, okay, all these leftover paintings, come and get them, pay by donation. And a friend came and he was like, that, like, oh no, he didn't come. He messaged me and he's like, I saw this painting in your post. I love it. I'm buying it. He offered me like a very reasonable donation. And he actually had a very similar trauma story to what had happened to the person in my family. And without knowing that story, that's the person who ended up buying the painting. So don't be afraid of sharing darkness, of sharing trauma, that when we are in our truth, that can be medicine for other people to feel safe and to connect on those same things. So it doesn't have to be sweet. It can be spicy. It can be raw. It can be whatever it is. So again, using myself, Chief Janice, and Brian Youngin as examples, here's an example of my artist statement. Inspired natural and supernatural phenomena are prominent in my current artwork and everyday life. I started out as a self-taught abstract mixed media painter, intuitively exploring and experimenting with materials. The freedom of non-objective abstraction allowed me to express myself in ways I never felt safe to before. Art is an outlet, and I became addicted to it. Later in my practice, I realized that the titles and abstract imagery of my work are a form of premonition. What you focus on, you create. I create my reality through art, and I now observe that my creative process is a form of channeling. The work flows through me. I am a vessel, and Creator guides me to create. Now that I have other healthy ways to process my emotions and support my healing journey, my creative practice has become more grounded and less compulsive. Art is now a means of deeper medicine, of reclaiming my culture through painting, poetry, sewing, weaving, beading, music, installation, and film. When you're doing the thing you're meant to be doing, our great Creator helps you on your path. And so my artist statement has changed a lot over time. And so to keep revisiting it, and as your practice changes, as you maybe learn how to mix paint colors, or, before I was but I was solely an abstract mixed media painter. Now I'm doing all sorts of things. And so my statement has needed to evolve as I and my practice have evolved. And so this statement for Chief Janice George, I wrote this by compiling words from this Monte Cristo magazine article. And so I'll share that in the Mighty Network, because when I PDF this presentation, the links don't work. And so you could Google it, but you don't want to type that out. And so anyways, that the full article, I'll have it available there for you, but that I took her words mostly, so the quotes from her, and then there's a little bit from the article, and that it was also with Buddy Joseph. So some of this is Janice's words, some of this is Buddy's words, and some of this is the writer of the article. So, since I was a teenager, I saw the pictures of the chiefs wearing their ceremonial robes, and I always wanted to be able to weave. The opportunity to learn didn't present itself until several decades later. We were taught the 3 primary techniques in weaving. We mastered those, and we wanted to get to the next level. We traveled throughout Europe and North America to visit institutions such as the Smithsonian and observed weavings to figure out how those weavers created their designs. The best we can do is interpret them, honor the ancestors, and continue the story. Salish weavings are said to have a pre-existence in the supernatural realm, brought into the material world through ancestral guidance. They are symbols of purity with love, protection, and prayers for good energy woven into each piece. Everybody in the world has a weaving history. The techniques are similar, but what makes it unique is that a Coast person wove it, and the wearer understands the significance of the teachings behind it. Our ancestors went through the keyhole of residential schools and disease and everything else for us to be where we are today. When we teach, we honor those ancestors and let others know what our people went through for us to be here today, not just surviving, but thriving. And third example is Brian Youngin. So you see what I shared earlier as part of his bio. This is a continuation from that same post. So his is kind of a hybrid bio artist statement. And so after this, I'll show you it on the website because now my link is organized. Okay. Youngin transforms plastic chairs into whale skeletons, garbage bins into a giant turtle carapace, sewing tables into a basketball court, golf bags into towering totem poles, and collectible Nike Air Jordan shoes into objects resembling both the ceremonial masks of British Columbian coastal tribes and abstract modernist sculptures. At once direct and disarming, Youngin's sculptures are entirely familiar in their material and assembly, and yet still trick the eye through complex and deft illusions. He has created many works involving animals, from habitats and playgrounds for household pets to paintings and drums utilizing stretched and tanned hides, demonstrating an interdependence between people and other species, as well as between aesthetic form and function. While exquisite for their craftsmanship and graphic use of pattern and color, Youngin's works also contain subtle critiques of labor practices, global capitalism, and cultural stereotypes. So, can you all see this? It says Brian Youngin at the top. Okay, great.
Yep.
So here we go. This is what I used as his bio, this part in blue here. And then this is what I used for his artist statement. So I repurposed this later half of this paragraph. If you are writing your bio and your statement, you want them to be different. You don't want the information to overlap. This is just one bio. And I wasn't able to find a specific statement because this is for Art 21 to tell us about this artist. It's not applying for an exhibition. It's not relevant to have them be different. So again, depending on the purpose of what it's for, it's going to morph and change. So then I did not include this part just because it was long, but this is definitely part of the bio where it's got Brian Youngin attended, there we go, Emily Carr College of Art and Design, the BFA in 1992. Youngin's awards and residencies include, and then there's just a big list of awards, residencies. And then Youngin has had major exhibitions at, and then a list of those all the way down. And then it says, Brian Youngin lives and works in North Okanagan, BC, Canada. So it depends on what it's for. All of this information can be found. So this has even also got a bit of CV in it. So this is a hybrid bio, artist statement, and CV. So I've kind of broken it up into a separate bio and statement with some overlap. And then this is kind of, it's relevant. If you've got all that, you can put some of that in your bio if you want. It can be impressive, but a lot of teachings say, a lot of the time to have your education and all your, like, what you've done first. And I go at it backwards, that isn't important. It is, in a sense, but your confidence and the connection that you create through your artwork is more important than anything. And that's what's going to help you on your creative journey. And I used to think that having, an art degree or proving myself in my CV was very important. And the greatest opportunities have come to me through cosmic and organic connections, because that was my path and my journey. And of course, I'm working towards my goals and desires with aligned action, but it was never about having to prove myself. It was always about being myself. Like I said, when you're doing the thing you're meant to be doing, the Creator helps you on your path. And I could not stress that more, that the greatest opportunities have come to me as miracles, truly. And I'm so humbled by it. So when we do all this stuff, it's important in that it is helping us align with our desires. And it can be almost a prayerful spiritual practice that as I'm writing this out, I'm connecting to what I want to create, not only through my art practice, but through my experiences in the world. So knowing who your audience is knowing where you want to go. Where do you wish to take your practice? What do you explore? And so it is, all of this can be a very meaningful spiritual journey in that you are doing these logical, practical, pragmatic things. They're guiding you towards your heart's desire. So if we look at it as like, oh, this is hard, I don't want to do this, then that's the experience you're going to have. If you look at this as, okay, this is healing, this is medicine, this is my growth, this is aligning me with my true path, then that discomfort can be just part of the growing pains. And then we're able to accept and surrender to that a bit more. And it gets easier and easier every time because you're coming more and more into alignment with your prayers. So I saw some hands raised and go down. So there's someone who had a question or wanted to say something. Okay. And so,
hey, hi, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Hi.
How do you know when you're being too repetitive on your bio?
I would say perhaps have someone else look at it if in doubt. Yeah, because if you're saying the exact same thing, you're going to know. But okay, yeah, you can send it to me or you can post it. So that brings me to our homework. And I knew we weren't going to have time for the video, but it'll go in the chat. It's about 10 minutes. But okay, so your week 3 assignment is to finish your bio, write your artist statement, and then read them both out loud. And so that can also, hearing it can help us to pick up on things that, like, we write it, but when you say it, you'll be like, oh, that sounds funny. Or then you can kind of catch things that you might not from just looking at it. So read them both out loud to yourself, to a pet, but best of all, to someone trusted who knows you and hopefully your artwork. Post them both in the Mighty Network. And so hopefully you know how to do that. And if you're not comfortable with sharing them publicly, you can email me. And if you're not ready to, it's okay, you don't have to, right? That you might be just absorbing this information for when you're in a part of your journey and this is meaningful to it. So these homework assignments, they're all optional. They're for you, not for me. They bring me joy to see them. They really, really, truly do. But don't force yourself if it's not the right time. And so post them on the Mighty Network if you can, if it's right for this time. And then go and read somebody else's and comment on it and give some feedback and be very conscious of your comment being kind. And so, and also if you do receive some constructive feedback, don't take it personally, that we're all here to learn and grow. And also that the comment, you don't have to take that advice, right? You have to feel into whether somebody else's perspective is aligned with yours, right? We all have our own truths and we all have our own opinions. You take what resonates and leave what doesn't. So as artists, we get a lot of feedback, and sometimes it feels really good. Sometimes it's validating, and sometimes it can feel like a punch in the gut, because our work is so close to our hearts. It's an expression of our spirit. So you get to decide, only you decide what works for you. And so again, it's that staying in that truth and integrity. And so again, I saw another hand go up, and I apologize. These, what are they called? Reactions. They are temporary. So even though Jen's hand is just perpetually raised, I don't know what's going on there. So questions, comments?
I have a comment.
Yes.
Or a question. This is Elaine.
Hi.
What if you're just sort of like exploring a new area? Would this be part of this process here?
It depends on your goals. What do you mean by exploring a new area?
Well, just say I want to, like in your case, you want to go into film. You don't know exactly what that looks like.
Right.
Would you include that?
So it depends on what you're using the statement for. If you are just going to put it on your website for anybody who clicks on your website, then include whatever you want. If I'm applying for a grant and I want to get some funding to help me learn more about film, I'm definitely going to include that. If I'm applying for an exhibition at a gallery and it's all paintings, and they only want paintings that they're going to hang on the wall in the gallery, I'm probably not going to include the film work unless I know that that gallery has other opportunities in film, and that including that might plant a seed for future. So it's very subjective, and it depends on what your end goal is and what the purpose of the statement is. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. Anyone else? Questions or comments? I'm peeking at the chat right now. Really great things in there. Yes, thank you.
I just want to throw out a big thank you to everyone. This has been just an incredibly positive experience. Like, we're on day 3, y'all have made me cry. Just so thank you. This has been, so far this has just been incredible for me. That's all. Big thanks.
But not Harmony. Oh, I cried too. These classes bring me so much joy and medicine. So I thank you all so much as well. Thank you, Harmony, for being here. Thank you all for being here. And Cindy. Oh, you're on mute, Cindy, so we can't hear you.
I had a question. We haven't really talked a lot about other art forms, you know, other than visual art. And so, yeah, I'm really, in some ways, I'm struggling with like how to include or how to choose, you know, one thing that people can see and understand in comparison with what I actually do. And
can you tell me what medium you're referring to? Like, if it's not visual art?
Yeah, if I do a lot of singing, but I'm not really necessarily doing public performance. And I do give talks. And so that's something that I, you know, am leaning towards, you know, maybe storytelling, but then I'm also I'm doing a lot of creative facilitation. And so I want to be able to show people really like an outcome without focusing on art for sale or for purchase. Yeah, so I'm finding it a little bit difficult. I mean, I know that I'll just have to keep looking for examples and approach it that way.
Mm-hmm. So I have my practice has changed so much, and within the framework of this course, it's from the model of a visual artist. But I also do workshops, retreats, teaching, storytelling, filmmaking, all of that. And so I kind of I've got one bio on my LinkedIn. I've got one bio here. There's one on the PAFNW website. There's one on my website. All of them have kind of the same foundation, but they are a little bit different to shape shift into where I feel my audience is. So again, it's coming back to know your audience and what's your goal? What are you articulating this for? And then be like, okay, if it's not for sales, then it might just be, I would like to get clear on what I do so that I can express that to others, so that when I'm making meaningful connections, I can articulate what my offerings are. And so that we all of us are so dynamic and multifaceted that we are more than one thing. And so to choose how you're going to shapeshift in that moment for the purpose of your end goal. And so it will take some reflection, but to look at, okay, I've looked at life coach web pages and at teachers' offerings and artists of many different mediums. So the more examples you can kind of look at, but again, also it's carving out only you are uniquely you. So there's never going to be that perfect example to go off of that. You'll figure it out. But I'm happy to look at anything. And again, that posting it in the Mighty Network and providing feedback. And so if you read someone's bio or statement and you're like, I really like that, I want to learn more, or this isn't clear to me, you can write that and be like, hey, I don't understand what you mean by that. That could be some helpful feedback to somebody. Does that help, Cindy? Okay. So we are at the 8:02 mark. I want to respect everyone's time, but do you have any further questions or comments? Okay, if you do, then you know the other forms of communication. And thank you all so much. We got through it all tonight, other than the movie. So I think the films are going to be in the Mighty Network. And so I'll see you all there and see you all next week. Have a beautiful night.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Bye. See you next week.
Bye now.
Good night. Have a good week.